Hello, my astrology family. This is Lada from AstroLada.com. This is the most important and exciting month of the year, not just personally, but for the world, because the two planets, the two probably most intense planets, Saturn and Pluto, are changing signs in March. So there will be big world important events that you'll notice around March, maybe a little bit before, a little bit after. But on a personal level, this will be a game changer, many new beginnings in your life. Old problems will disappear and new exciting territories and problems will appear. Let's see what it's going to be like. I'll speak about each of the 12 signs. You'll come back to this video for many years, at least for the next 3 years, because I'll speak about how Saturn will influence you for the next 3 years and Pluto for the next 20 years. So please save this video to favorites because you will need it. When things start happening, this will explain to you and give you perspective, so you don't feel overwhelmed, or so you feel like, wow, I'm on time, like a deja vu. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So this is an important video. And before I start, please do start with your ascendant. If you know your time of birth, start with your rising sign, also known as ascendant. If you don't know it, start with your sun sign and moon sign if you can, but the ascendant is the most important, I think, if your time of birth is correct. And then I'll follow if you're day born, the sun. Check the 3 if you want, but always for me the ascendant is it. And by the way, before we start, just to let you know, I'm doing a big webinar on Pluto in Aquarius. That will be at the end of February, the start of March. It's only $39. It will be 5 hours, and I'll walk you through how Pluto will affect you personally, because Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years, and I'll show you how, and you'll be able to see what areas Pluto will influence. Say Pluto will square your Mars, natal Mars, in 2036. What does it mean? Or Pluto will enter your second house and it will transit the second house cusp in 2025. What does it mean for you? Or Pluto will trine your Venus. What does it mean for your life, for your love life, and which year? So that will be a very personal webinar, but because I'll show you how you can calculate it and see it very easy, but at the same time very insightful for you to plan, because Pluto is the planet of the evolution of the soul. And if the most important changes on a spiritual and material level always happen through Pluto. So let's enjoy the videos. Rising Sun and Moon March 2023, but of course it's way more than just March. It's the next 20 years even. So first, Saturn is moving Virgo into your 7th house, and it's going to stay there on March the 7th. It's moving, and it's going to stay there till 2026 almost. And actually that might be quite welcome by many Virgos, because for the past, since 2012, so what is that, 12 years, Neptune has been in your 7th house. And you're already quite, when it comes to relationships as a Virgo, because Neptune is the 7th house, you're prone towards allowing too much, let's say. That's why Virgo's like always helpful for others and so on, even if their boundaries are being crossed, and they would still help even if someone is taking advantage. But Neptune been in your 7th house for 12 years, give or take, some felt it earlier, some later, where there might have been deception when it comes to relationships, where there might have been illusions and disappointments, where there might have been inability to put boundaries and say no to others, where they might have been having to deal with matters of I don't know, some kind of dissolve boundaries, and maybe having to save others, and always you saving others in some way, or others being quite shifty and not being very clear about where you stand with others, or maybe being ambivalent with others and others being ambivalent with you. Well, now Saturn is coming to fix that. Neptune will still stay in your 7th house, but the presence of Saturn starts overpowering Neptune, and they'll both leave your 7th house in 2025, towards the end 2026, when after that you won't have to deal with any kind of relationship issues anymore for quite a while, but you still have 2 3 years. But now Saturn is coming to put order. Saturn is a planet of realistic approach. There might be like a rude awakening of some sort, or like you seeing reality. Stop idealizing someone. It might be a business partner, it might be a friend, it might be your marriage partner, it might be others overall as a whole, as terms, and seeing them out of reach, or seeing them not in the correct way. Stop yearning for someone or something, and Saturn will kind of show you the reality of who those people are. So there might be some quite powerful realizations about the people around you, who they are. You saw them in one way, and Saturn will like, well, let me show you reality. It's not so romantic. It's a bit more black and white, or and that can, if these are the right relationships around you, with business, with client, with business relationships, with clients, with partners, with friends, then Saturn will just kind of help you build barriers and help you become a more clear-headed about what you want, more kind of, okay, these are my cards, what are your cards, rather than guesswork, and rather than ambivalence, and to be more straight as well, and people to be more straight with you, to tell, okay, this is what I want, this is what I want to get, you know. So Saturn is great, especially in business, in the 7th house, because it helps you fulfill your promises to others, and others tend to fulfill their promises towards you. While Neptune is the opposite, like someone promises you something and you can't rely on them or whatever, and you probably also were a bit wishy-washy with relationships and promises, or kind of you have one idea and you're like, wow, it turned out to be totally different. And Saturn is this realization process. Saturn is this maturation in regards to relationships and who you let into your life, and what you and the roles that you allow yourself to play in their life and others. And sometimes with Neptune there, maybe if you give a finger, they take the whole hand, and now it's time for you to say no. Saturn is the planet of no, ability to say no, I will not do that, no, let's renegotiate the agreements of our relationships, whether it's business or clientele. Like for example, you might be someone who you have a reading with a client or whatever, and you give them way more of your time, with Neptune there in the 7th and Pisces. Well, Saturn comes into your 7th house, and you'll be asked in some way or another, you'll be forced, if you don't want, to kind of, you know, say, well, okay, this is what you paid for, whatever, and or this is my private time now, leave me. Or even if it's a personal relationship, you cannot like say, maybe your partner's been drinking too much or whatever, and you've been allowing it, or you've been allowing, or you've been they've been cheating or doing something online or whatever, and you've been like, maybe you didn't even notice it, maybe you were pretending not to see it, maybe you were allowing it, forgiving too much, and Saturn comes and it's like, no, now you have to, you know, you give ultimatums, or partner can give ultimatums to you if you've been the one doing those things, because 7th house is not just others in your life, but it's how you do relationships. So if you've been having such kind of under the carpet behaviors, wishy-washy, with business or with personal partners and friends and so on, they can confront you and say, we want accountability now, or ultimatums, do this or that. So you might be putting ultimatums, or others might be putting ultimatums, but the relationships, whether it's your clients, whether it's your partners, that are good in your life, they will be strengthened more, they will become more solid, while the ones that are not, they would fall off from your life. So ask a few Leos around who just had Saturn in their 7th house over the last 2-3 years, and a lot of them, especially Leo rising people and Moon in Leo, will say a lot of people fell off from my life. Some they cut off because they're like, enough, I cannot. They might be business partners, they might be someone they work with, they might be more personal, and maybe they became a bit tougher on their partners as well, or their partners went through some difficulties. So you might also expect your partner to be going through some kind of a maturation process, which might be great if it's the right partner in your life, so they take more responsibility, or you as a couple together take more responsibility, and that might be starting a work together. Saturn rules the 7th house, starting some work project together, or it might be starting together to take accountability of your health and taking, doing some projects, some activities together that take consistency, repeat offer to repeat attempts to improve your health. Or it might be to do responsibility with children. Saturn also rules your 5th house, that you take on together as a couple. And that put a bit of strain on the relationship, but they also test it. But they also show you how committed is someone to you. And because when the going gets tough, if it's not the right partner, either you or the partner will say, okay, enough. If there is not love left, or if you've learned the lessons together and the going gets tough, it's kind of be like, it's like there is no more. Why should I make the efforts when I don't really care if I want to be with this person? But if it's the right person, there's still love. You just take on extra responsibility as a couple, and it even bonds you even more. And also, it can mean that people, if you're single, for example, people that appear and that only relationship you'll be interested in will be more serious ones where it's about building something together, about being more responsible. Maybe you might even attract more older people, some age difference. If you're already a bit older, maybe there might be even 7+ years age difference, someone older and young or younger than you, because Saturn is about age difference. Usually it's more about seniority. So you might find yourself either feeling like a senior in a relationship and the more responsible, or the opposite. You might find that you attract someone more serious, more responsible, which is kind of good after Neptune in the 7th house, where you may be attracted more people that you had to take care of. But yeah, Saturn will also show you, okay, maybe you allowed your partner to drink too long, and now you're like, no, enough, so all this kind of stuff. But as well, the good relationships will stay. They'll be just kind of, maybe they'll go through a period of being tested where it's not all roses and romantic, where you have to take extra responsibility together, where the partner is focused on work a lot, or you have to go them through a period they're going through. Like I had a friend who just went through Saturn in the 7th house, and I said, was your relationship challenged? And she said, well, not so much like we don't love each other, but it's more like my partner didn't work for those 2.5 years and started working from home to trying to do a business. So it was a bit hard on them, so I had to be there for them and so on. So it might be something as little as that, depending how good the relationship is, of course. Also, as I said, now you can forge long-lasting business partnerships. Now you can really see who the people that you want in your life are, without the illusions, without you'd recognize all kind of games coming from such people if it's not truthful. All right, now the other big event that's happening for you, Virgos, is that Pluto is entering your 6th house on March 23rd. Just for a couple of months, it dips its toe into your 6th house, then moves back into the 5th house, where it's been for the last 14 years, and then goes again 2024 into your 6th house and stays there till 2044 for 20 years. But maybe usually when it first goes into the next sign, there's some pivotal events that might happen that are very telling in regards to the next 20 years. So pay attention the next 2-3 months when Pluto just for a little bit changes signs, what is happening, because it will show you the new direction for many years. But on the whole, let's see why Pluto is so important, because it shows the evolution of the soul. Wherever Pluto goes, whatever else is happening in your life, whether it's marriages, divorces, children, new jobs, they're all serving to make you grow through the Pluto house and to fulfill the agenda of Pluto in your 6th house. That will be for the next 20 years. Well, you already had Saturn in your 6th house for the last 2-3 years. And 6th house is very Virgo house. Virgo is the 6th sign, and the 6th house is Virgo energy. So it's kind of like asking you to become even more a Virgoan for 20 years. So I think Virgos can really kind of come and fulfill a lot of Virgos their mission in the next 20 years through their work, because the 6th house rules our duties, responsibilities, and basically our worldly responsibility, kind of like our employment, our work, our service that we do in this lifetime. So your life, whatever is happening, no matter what else is happening, somehow will be taking you and serving to take you to the mission that you have of service in this lifetime. And you won't be able to tolerate employment that is not meaningful to you, that is not deeply, profoundly connected to you. So you might start noticing, maybe not already from March now, but that there is a deep need and calling for you to change your employment, your place of work. It might not happen just once in those 20 years. It can happen a few times till you really, till you really find, or maybe a few steps there gradually. First work here, then there. But it will have to be something meaningful for you. Anything that you just do for the sense of work and just to make money, but your soul is not there, it's not gonna work anymore. So there might be some power struggles that appear with workmates, or power struggles at the workplace, or something that puts you off if you're in the wrong position, or also even if you're in the right career. When Pluto is there, it can challenge you to see how dedicated you are to that. But I expect, like, if you're Virgo strongly, there'll be big change, like your career will change over the next 20 years in a way you can recognize, that you'll be called to some more of a mission, rather than just rather than just a job for you, and that you will be also called to pay a lot of attention through your health as well. And that's the sixth house, and it will transform your health. And how can it happen? Sometimes it can happen through crisis. So Pluto calls your attention if you're not having the right lifestyle and habits. Some crisis can happen that awakens you to the need to change something there in your habits. But also Pluto in Aquarius shows almost like where you can transform society in the next 20 years. And for Virgo, it's through their service, through their work, or it's through also to some careers that are in health, for example, that you can transform society in a big way in your own life. Or it can be through careers in mind, body health, or exercise or whatever, supplements, medical field, or by helping those in need. The sixth house is social services, those in need, being in the military, being in the army, being in the, what's that called, like police services. Everyone who goes to a place where there is conflict or pain, or someone is in need, is the sixth house careers. So you might be called to such kind of careers of some sort, Virgos. You might be called, or sometimes it's just a humble role of a servant. I had a few friends, Leo, that just went through Pluto in the sixth house, Leo rising, and they said, oh, my career really changed in the last 14, 15 years, in the sense that I was I was like a housemaid. I was raising my kids, and all I did was stay at home and clean. And but it's kind of some kind of unconditional service you give to others. And of course, if it can be done through your career, great, and you'll transform yourself in your life. And don't think that it's not noticed. Don't think it's kind of spiritually growing you a lot. You naturally attune to such roles. While for Leos that just went through Pluto in the sixth house, was not so natural to be put in positions of a bit more like back-breaking work and subservience. But if they endured it, now it's changing for them, so to say. But you as a Virgo, you almost like feel very honored by such roles. You'd feel like you're at the right place. Your career transforms, your health habits transform, your daily life and routines will totally transform, and you can help others transform through the same fields as well. And there is a lot more other things that Pluto in the sixth house will do, but I can't focus on it now because I don't want to make this video too long. And when exactly it will happen for you, when Pluto crosses exactly the sixth house cusp, or it's exactly at the degree of your sun or moon making a sixth house aspect to them. But I'll give you the years on my webinar for Pluto in Aquarius, which is going to be in February, the end, or March, the beginning. If you want to join me, you'll know the dates. So you know, like, oh, I'm 25 degrees Virgo, so exactly Pluto will be from an angle from my Sun's sixth house angle in 2020 or 2032 or whatever. So you know when exactly to expect those transformations. Then, oh, the peak of them, they're already starting now. Pluto is entering the sixth sign from your sign, but it's a gradual build up and so on. Now, the other thing is, let's focus a little bit more specifically on March. These energies are valid only for March. And there is focus on relationships, renewal of relationships. The sun will be there. So something important can happen there. Focus on others, do help through others in some way, being engaged through others. But also there is a great conjunction of Jupiter and Venus, which is rare, happens once every 2 years or something like that, year and a half. And the two benefics meeting together in your 8th house at the very beginning of the month, and the whole month they bless this 8th house. So good things can come to you through others. 8th house is support you can receive from others, help, financial, material, maybe some tax rebate, money returned to you, 8th house, or some kind of a easing of a loan, or some inheritance even, or just some present you can receive from another, or money that comes to you from your partner. Can be something positive happening there, or if you're trying to receive a loan or a mortgage or anything like that, it can happen with ease. As well, other people's finances, resources, or money that comes to you from others. And also it's good for intimacy, or also conception. If you're trying to conceive, the 8th house is the house of death and rebirth and births and so on. 8th house is also the house of secrets. There might be some delicious secrets, and also really enjoying maybe starting like a deep insights that come to you, but in a way that is empowering rather than negative, through occult sciences like astrology, through tarot, through reading psychology and such kind of more introspective sciences and arts. All right. And then Mars is finally going to leave your 10th house towards the end of the month of March, but it continues. But you're moving forward with plans with your career. Mars really tested you there, or maybe gave you some challenge in career, or some delays for the last 5-6 months because it was retrograde there. Maybe some problem to solve with authorities, some conflict with maybe like really changing something about your career, maybe putting it on hold, or putting extra pressure on you there. But Mars keeps marching in your 10th house. So by the end of the month, you might, by the end of March, whatever changes have happened in your career, whatever stresses were in your career, it all disappears. It's no longer a problem, or with any authority figures. And possibly this month you can if you've been trying to find a job, you find and start, or if you've been working on some project, you complete it, you see the results of it. If you've been dealing with something to do with authority figures or bosses, you're wrapping it up as well, and you're seeing the results of it. So there you go. Thank you so much, Virgos. And if you'd like to hear your in-depth reading, it's 2.5-3 hours that I offer in my 2023 video horoscopes for just $21. Way more in depth than this. And also, if you want to find out where Pluto was going to aspect, maybe Pluto's going to aspect your Venus or Mercury or your 10th house cusp as well, I'll do the webinar and I'll teach about all of those manifestations. Thank you.